name's 𝗘𝗺𝗶𝗹. I'm a senior lecturer in biological sciences here at the University of Worcester.
And my name's 𝗘𝗺𝗶𝗹, and I'm currently a senior lecturer in the School of Sport and Exercise Science, and soon to be moving into a research fellowship position.
I do some teaching across first, second and third year. So for example, I teach on biological diversity in the first year, and third year parasitology, and some second year modules on data analysis. But I also have a lot of meetings with, I've got several PhD students, some MPhil students, I have tutorials with undergraduate students as well, and lots of other things besides. So I do a lot of research knowledge exchange work as well.
Yep, so my day or week echoes very similar elements of that. So certainly teaching our undergraduate and master's degree in, I suppose, the physiology around sporting performance and health of individuals, humans. I also take on a role around our personal academic tutoring system, so I'm very much responsible for I suppose, managing the pastoral support that's provided to all of our students, and certainly research is a big element of my role, where I work both with people within the university for my research as well as national and international collaborators on elements related to improving females' health and performance by mitigating heat strain.
I used to be a venture scout as a teenager, and I really enjoyed climbing and canoeing and things like that. So I really enjoyed being outside and being active. And one of the things I loved about science is I really enjoyed every aspect of science. So I did lots of different types of science at school. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do in that area. But I wanted to unite being outside and doing science. So I think biology was the best fit for me, and I went on to do research after that took in those components. So I used to work on seabirds, so on seabird cliffs. I did a lot of climbing as part of that. So that's really what got me here and what keeps me going, learning new things and being outside and helping the environment. My research directly aims to push back against biodiversity decline.
Yeah, so my entry into science came from an interest in sports. So I was a very active athlete in a whole range of different sports through my childhood, combined with a love of biology and the physiology of the human body. So entering into sport, health and exercise science seemed like a really natural route that combined both the physiology and science alongside the sporting or active and healthy human. And that's really what's got me to where I am. And then through various mentors and people that have inspired me along the pathway, it's been about trying to improve humans' health during extreme heat events. So through climate change, we're seeing more and more extreme heat events, and it's how to better protect specifically the female through those episodes that we're experiencing more of.
I started with an undergraduate degree in zoology, followed by a series of field research positions. So for example, I did field work in a very remote area of Canada. There was literally like 5 of us on an island the size of Wales. I had to do shotgun training and various other things for all the polar bears and risks. I was there for the birds, but the risks were there in abundance. Then I did some lab work experience. I say work experience, but it was paid roles, just lots of different research little positions. I didn't do a master's degree, but after that I went on to do a PhD. And from there, my PhD was on seabird ecology, so I was doing a lot of research on seabirds, like colonies over the summertime. And then I went on to do a postdoctoral position at the University of Bath, which was working with a lot more partners. It was a life partnership, so it was a big EU project, so we had lots of EU projects, and then after that finished, I came to the University of Worcester, and now I've continued that with partners in conservation and industry and teaching as well.
Yep, so after doing my A-levels at school in biology, maths and physical education, I came to university to study sport and exercise science. Following that, I went directly into a PhD looking at heat acclimation for female athletes, so it was very much athlete focused, but looking at how to best support athletes that are going to be exposed to very extreme temperatures during their athletic events. Through that, I worked with a whole range of athletes, from individuals who were interested in going to do the Jungle Marathon to the Marathon des Sables. I also supported the English Institute of Sport 5 years ahead of their Tokyo Olympic Games in 2020, although it ended up being in 2021, about best preparing all of their physiologists, their practitioners, as well as their athletes in terms of heat mitigation approaches to get the best out of their athletes and enable them to manage and mitigate the heat that they would be exposed to. And that was alongside my job at Bangor University, where I secured a military research contract looking at heat acclimatisation for military personnel. So it was about how to optimise their acclimatisation strategies prior to deployment to hot tropical conditions, before coming over to the University of Worcester, at which point I'm now focusing a little bit more down the health and occupational avenue in terms of better supporting the female across the lifespan. So that includes your healthy young female right through to your perimenopausal and menopausal middle-aged female, and thinking about how to best support them in terms of heat mitigation.
One of the challenges that's probably worth bringing up for the women in the audience here is a challenge that goes with undertaking field work, particularly field work in remote locations. As I say, I've done quite a lot of field work in different parts of the world, some in more remote locations than others. And one of the challenges is how you manage your period during that point. Now, it might be that you're in somewhere that isn't very remote and it doesn't take a lot of consideration beyond the normal. But as an example, working in a very remote location, often where there are large mammals that can smell you from a distance and maybe a problem, you may cause a problem, it's often better to start thinking about different ways to actually potentially stop your period during that field work, because it's a challenge that men undertaking the same field work don't actually have to think about. And it's certainly one that you need to consider if you're part of a group as well, particularly in these remote locations, that you're part of a very close-knit team. So that these are conversations to have with your group, and it is certainly something now that is being more appreciated as a challenge that women face during remote field work.
And I suppose one of the challenges that I've faced and kind of tackled on is, I suppose, becoming a mom and combining that with a career in science. And since coming back from maternity leave, so I have a son now who's just turned 3, it's actually maybe where my career has actually accelerated after. So I think it's important to note that, you know, becoming a mom isn't something that's a barrier within this field, and there is lots of flexibility and support in place to enable you to still achieve your career aspirations, as well as managing being a mom and balancing home life as well. The big things that I enjoy, especially in relation to research, is making a difference to people's lives, like developing policies and processes that can support individuals to improve their health, their well-being, and better able them to kind of cope with their jobs. So whether that be the military that I've worked with and, you know, supporting them to optimise their strategies to support military recruits, whether that's going into the English Institute of Sport and helping their practitioners and athletes optimise their performance at major international sporting events, or whether that's maybe moving forward perhaps more into an occupational perspective and supporting the female within the workplace and how to best kind of support them. So for me, it's all about helping other people and just informing policy to better protect the human health and well-being.
I can extend upon that. It is about helping people. I particularly enjoy mentoring students and seeing where they get to in the future, seeing their roles develop from coming in as an undergraduate and graduating and then following their career pathways afterwards and seeing, you do make a difference as an academic. I guess from my research perspective, I think more about the impact I'm having on the environment. So all of my research is translational. Essentially that means that although it is academic research, that it does have an impact, and one of the impacts that I'm most focused on is actually reversing environmental change where it impacts on biological diversity. So working with wildlife organisations, working with industry to try and improve agricultural management, so we have a sustainable food production, and also working on the ground with wildlife organisations to try and improve the habitat for wildlife populations and just reduce possible extinctions. So the idea that we are in the midst of a sixth mass extinction event now is very top of what I'm thinking about, and certainly I'm hoping that all of my research goes to doing something about that.
Yeah, I think certainly down the routes of sport, health and exercise science, it's about people who want to combine maybe their love of health, well-being, potentially sport, with science. And people who want to make a difference to make the human healthier and better able to, I don't know, combat maybe clinical diseases or become, better at a particular sporting activity. But it's understanding, I suppose, and wanting to apply that science and physiology around that. So, yeah, it's not just people who want to play sport, it's that combination of the science and the sport or health that really is the type of person that we try and recruit into certainly all of our courses.
In biological sciences, certainly I would say that it's good to start being curious. If you're interested in science, obviously there's different avenues you can take, but if you're not quite sure what you want to do, it's also a good route to find your path when you're there. So there's lots of different things you can get into, lots of career pathways, lots of routes you can take. Within our department we teach across biomedical science, medical sciences, I teach a lot on zoology, we've also got forensic and applied biology, so we've got a big mix, but essentially there's lots of different routes you can take within there, and not everyone that comes in necessarily knows what they want to be 5-10 years down the line, and everyone goes a slightly different direction, but as long as you are enjoying it and you're inspired by science, then it's the right place to be for you.
If you're interested and you're at the point of considering going to university, get in, speak to academics, go to open days, make sure that you're picking the right course that interests you. And I think that echoes what's just been said in terms of if you're interested, the career avenue will become apparent at some point along the line, and actually just, go and be inspired and interested, and that's really the key to a successful career in this particular area.